Hey everybody, welcome back to OneRoomOver Gaming. Today I'm continuing my Let's Play of Crimson Gray, Gerben, Crimson Gray, Dusk and Dawn. And last time I played this, last episode, we had a little bit of a nosy girl that caused Lizzie to spiral out of control into a rage, and then we had kind of a relationship issue with Lizzie and John about the whole worshipping him thing. And so we left with we could take a break or we could keep talking. I don't know. We're gonna see. All I want is for you to hold me a little longer, okay? Of course. Got it. He held her just like that for a long time. Even afterward, when they got their textbooks and began reading, he stayed close, letting her rest against him, so they were always touching. By the time they were ready to go to bed, Lizzie no longer felt nervous about him discovering her notebooks, but she also had a feeling that she wouldn't need them anymore. Hey, cool! Improvement. Life improved after their conversation. Lizzie overflowed with so much positive energy that she was constantly visiting John for extra kisses and showering affection over him. His reaction was more subtle, but she could feel that it had made a difference to him. Though Lizzie wrote in her notebook occasionally, she didn't take it with her anymore and didn't feel too much need for it. In fact, when Aaron invited them to a party with his friends, Lizzie felt so free of stress that she didn't mind them going. Oh boy. To her surprise, the energy overflowed so much that she even enjoyed the party a little. She kept an eye on John at all times, noting his position. He was speaking with a mixed group, casual, but not so casual that she worried about him. Since he was fine, she didn't mind spending some time with others. Aaron's friends were usually smart and thoughtful, if a little too passionate about irrelevant things for her liking. Yeah, some people, we get passionate about stuff that doesn't really matter, but hey, things is things. At the moment, she was talking to a girl named Rose. She was always hanging out with Aaron, and they acted as if they might be dating, though Lizzie had a strong intuition that it wasn't quite the case. It didn't matter to her, so she didn't pursue it. What mattered was that Rose showed no interest in John, and she didn't like how judgmental their psychology class was either. No alcohol at all, huh? Not judging, I was just wondering if it was a personal commitment or something. Lizzie was drinking water from her cup, though she hadn't thought about it. She knew the exact reason. Becoming intoxicated reduced her ability to enjoy John's presence and slightly decreased her combat potential, thus was to be avoided at all costs. It's just not my taste. That's cool. Honestly, some drinks taste so shitty, I wonder if people really like it, or if society just convinces everyone they need to like it because it's refined or whatever. That's a good question, because I've had some alcohol that I'm like, what is this in my body right now? Hadn't thought about that before. Society convinces us of all kinds of things, like who decided weddings should be these obscenely elaborate performances, and wearing white is just a vestige of an absurd older custom. I was hoping to wear white for our wedding. Open mouth, insert the whole foot. Normally, Lizzie would have followed the tone of the conversation and not offered any contradiction, since that would just lead to annoyances. One reason Rose was acceptable was that she didn't get offended when people disagreed with her, which meant Lizzie didn't have to waste energy on such things. It's 100% fine if that's what you want. I just think some people only stumble into it because that's what society expects. But you're about the last person I'd expect to be that way, Lizzie. Really? Yeah, it's pretty obvious you don't care about what other people think. I admire that. Oh! Thank you! A compliment. Holy crap! Lizzie gave her a smile that wasn't faked, one of the few real smiles she had given to anyone other than him. In the old days, it would have never happened, but being together with John was so wonderful, she felt that, like she had an excess of happiness, enough to share it with people who were acceptable company when he wasn't there even. Their conversation didn't continue for too long after that, though, because several of Rose's other friends showed up. She didn't try and press Lizzie to join them, so Lizzie was soon alone again. That was fine with her, though. She began to ponder if she should collect John and leave. The company didn't seem to have worn him down yet, so perhaps they could stay a little longer. While Lizzie considered that, someone else ambled up beside her. Satan! Oh, it's just Aaron. Enjoying yourself, Lizzie? Sure, thanks for inviting us. No problem, I'm glad to hear it. You two are hard to read. Really? You don't say. You seem to understand each other on a deeper level, and it's nice to see, honestly. I wish I had a relationship that close. Of course, I don't have one at all right now. Oh, I thought you and Rose... Aaron stopped for a full second, giving her a bizarre expression. He narrowed his eyes as if uncertain if she was being serious. Lizzie, do you really not know I'm gay? Oh, well, I mean, it's not like it's written on your forehead, so yeah, I guess not. And if he had been laughing and talking with John earlier, and she remembered that he had slapped John on the back, his hand had lingered too long, And not only was he single, but he had just said that thing about wanting a relationship like that. Oh, Christmas crackers! No! No! I hadn't noticed. But, now that I know... Oh, Jesus Christ. This is... It's so... It's so unnecessary. Oh, Lizzie, calm down. Oh my god. What? I just... Don't even... Huh. You have that look in your eyes. Damn, Lizzie, if you were anyone else, I'd almost be offended. Oh, I'm just upset I didn't notice. I hope you find a man to love and you two get married. I think we can put him back to his normal... This wasn't... I'm quite certain he didn't just lift up his shirt and unbutton his pants, so I... Oh, my... I guess this is just how we see him now. Okay, well, enjoy that. Okay, I'm not trying to have a chip on my shoulder. It's just, the Midwest is a pretty conservative place. I mean it, though. It took supreme effort of will for Lizzie to finish the conversation without giving the wrong impression. Such a thing would have been impossible for her as she was 3 years ago, but thanks to John, she could do a better job of looking out for herself. So no one can be near John in any romantic interest, no one who could possibly ever want to have sex with him, or even be in a relationship with him, can be around him without Lizzie automatically putting them on threat status. Though it couldn't touch anything within her, she could intellectually understand what Aaron was saying to her. People disapproving of him was very similar to people who might disapprove of her, so her reaction didn't need to be faked. Though he was sharper than most, she didn't think Aaron sensed any of the turmoil inside of her. And there he goes. When he finally left, though, she was relieved. How would she miss something so important? Maybe Aaron was a good person, but most weren't. Lizzie had thought she could focus on nothing but her relationship with John, yet now she realized that her focus had given her blind spots. I think you can calm down, Lizzie. There were other consequences, too. Lizzie presumed that John knew, and he was paying more attention to such things. She had been acting so close to Rose earlier in the party. Had some part of him seen it and worried she might be interested in anyone other than him? Fuck no. She didn't feel that John would feel jealous. That wasn't his nature, but he might find some way to doubt his self-worth, maybe wondering if he wasn't enough for her or something else equally absurd. At his best, he would understand it was false, but if he was depressed... Lizzie realized that instead of taking a drink, she was chewing on the rim of her cup hard enough that she tasted plastic. Better than her fingers since she was in public, but still a sign that she needed to pull back and reconsider. Everything's fine. Slipping out as soon as she could, Lizzie headed back home. Without John? Trying to integrate the new information. She had thought that the social understanding she had developed over the years growing up would be more than enough for her to navigate any social interaction. But plainly, she was too narrowly focused on herself and John. That was where her attention should be, of course, but her anxiety was creeping upward again, and wouldn't stop until she felt confident in her analytical abilities again. That night, Lizzie decided not to write anything in her notebook. Instead, she just nestled up against John and held him, which he gladly reciprocated. It didn't take her too long to fall asleep after that. Everything's fine. It's fine! The days passed freely enough that they drifted closer to the end of the year. No threat materialized, but not much changed either. Lizzie was happy for each precious day, though, and clung closer to John. Things were easier now. She only wrote in her notebook occasionally, and often showed him what she had written. Classes remained tolerable, and she didn't have any problems with obnoxious classmates or other people. Despite all the attention surrounding the speeches, and the potential overhaul of the FDCA, everything just stalled in committees. Aaron and a few others kept campaigning, but interest overall had died down. There had been little tension surrounding Aaron and his group, with John wanting to become involved more. Though Lizzie tried her best to hide her anxieties, he still noticed she was uncomfortable when they were around others. And so, wonderful person that he was willing to withdraw. This is going to end up bad for John. He's getting smothered. I mean, people in any relationship, people are still individual people, and they still need to have connections outside the relationship. Otherwise, you do end up with some weird-ass codependence. So they spent so much of their time together, which was bliss. It could work that way forever, couldn't it? John was an introvert anyway, and she could provide everything he might possibly need. That would be ideal, but Lizzie wasn't certain. It was unfortunately impossible for them to be together every second of every day, and despite her best efforts, she was not perfect. Maybe it would be better to develop some kind of secondary defenses. But that would mean giving him up to others temporarily, and other unacceptable risks. No, you gotta do it. You can't hoard him. It's not healthy. Lizzie pondered everything as she chopped up the vegetables for the day's meal, enjoying the knife work while she thought. John was casually reading on the couch and smiled when he felt her gaze. Ah, this was bliss. This is the life. Unfortunately, a moment later, someone pounded on the door. Yo, I won't interrupt you, lovebirds, but you want to turn on the news. If he said that, it must be something significant. Lizzie wasn't sure exactly what they had said, but John had spoken to Erin about needing more private space, covering for her, of course, which was wonderful. Though Lizzie felt slightly uncomfortable about the whole thing, John had managed to set everything up smoothly. Erin was already moving on, leaving them to glance at one another. After a pause, John got up and flipped through the channels until he got the one they wanted. Worst rampages in American history. We have just received a report that one of the students in critical care has unfortunately passed away, bringing the total to 11 dead and 2 wounded. Lizzie moved to the couch beside John in a flash, eyes fixed on the television even though she wasn't completely certain why. The news was filled with reports of murders, of course, but the ratio immediately caught her attention. John glanced over to her with a thoughtful look. Why would Erin call us about this in particular? The facts of the incident are still coming in. One of the most basic facts must have been relevant. That's a good point. Maybe it's scrolling at the bottom now. I recognize that name. It's a town with a major koi tech factory, just like their hometown. He didn't need to say. Distracted by the exact reports of violence, Lizzie had not noticed the fact. She didn't know the name in any case. It made her heart warm to think that two of them contemplated one another. But she was still in a state of rigid alertness. With the lull in updates, the new news program was bringing on guests. There was a koi tech representative, which was incredibly suspicious, even though he was only making a statement of condolences. After that, an academic was brought on. He was introduced as an expert on violent killings, which immediately attracted her interest. After pointless introductory questions, things got more interesting. Until the police decide to release direct evidence, is there anything else we can determine about the crime? What's notable is how few were injured compared to those killed. Regardless of the weapon used, that's an unusual statistic. And what does that tell us? It might indicate that it was a crime of passion. The individuals killed were targeted specifically, not randomly. Even those hospitalized were severely injured, after all. But what could cause a student to go on such a rampage? Well, emotions are always strong in high school. No, that wasn't right. The death-to-injury ratio had caught her attention as well, and the expert had identified it too. But he was wrong about that. Lizzie didn't want to jump to conclusions, but... So are we discovering just now the dead people that died at Koi Tech when they were in high school? This is horrible, but do you think it could... Breaking news, the police have released video footage captured during the tragedy to the media. Children and sensitive viewers may not wish to watch the following clip. Neither of them blinked. The news switched to grainy footage from a security camera on an empty hallway. For a few moments still. Then a student began crawling across the floor, leaving a trail of blood, broken arm, cut to the intestines designed to cause pain instead of death. She couldn't see the student's eyes, but was sure there was animal fear in them. He was panicking, just trying to get away. What the fuck is going on here? A girl appeared on camera. She moved casually but surprisingly fast, swinging a baseball bat idly in one hand. The student gave a mangled squawk and tried to crawl faster. Didn't matter. The girl lunged forward and brought the bat down onto his head. Though the blow was pixelated, Lizzie could practically see the spray of blood. Hi! The girl stared down at the body for a moment, face unclear, then she finally looked up. Oh, man, them some crazy eyeballs. Oh, boy. Holy shit. Okay. Time out. Okay. So, this is something that's been in the back of my mind for a while. If we remember from the days of the first Crimson Gray. Hi. Welcome to OneRoomOver Gaming. If you're new here, this is a sequel game to the original game called Crimson Gray. If you're watching this episode and you haven't seen the first game, it's going to be a little weird, but hopefully, if not, go watch the first game real quick, and then you'll be all caught up. Anyway, in the first game, there was another crazy girl. There was mention of, like, another girl similar to Lizzie, and also, not only that, but there was a mention, there were more participants in this. The Koi Tech was testing on at least one pregnant woman. It's possible they were testing on a bunch of pregnant women. So maybe another woman got tested on, and this is her daughter or something. I don't know. But the news report just said something about high school. So if she's a high schooler, that might not work. But maybe they were testing something else. I don't know. This is all speculation. I can keep playing, so maybe we'll learn something instead of me just fucking pontificating. A mad grin on her face. That's not mad. That's straight. That's full-blown Bonkers sandwiches. Her cheese came right off the cracker, ladies and gentlemen. She is fucked. With a peal of laughter, she lunged away, vanishing from the screen. For a few seconds, the footage was only the corpse, set to the sound of her laughter. Then it cut out abruptly. The corpse being the one hand right up in the corner there. You see a hand. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Wozers! Only then did Lizzie realize that she was on her feet and holding her knife. Her reaction had been instinctive and instantaneous. John looked a little concerned and touched her arm. Honey, Lizzie, don't fucking touch me! You're right. I just, Well, she sat down on the couch beside him and carefully set her knife a few inches out of easy reach. Normally she might be ashamed of herself, but her heart was still beating too rapidly. Lizzie did her best to focus on the broadcast. This is the Crimson Gray I've been waiting for. Let's bring on the wild ride. Remind everyone that the suspect was... Oh, okay. She's dead. It's fine. Everyone that the suspect was killed by police at the entrance to the school. Her identity and the identities of the victims are still being withheld for the sake of the families. But if anyone has information concerning... John turned the volume to a low buzz and looked toward her. His eyes were hard and serious in a way that normally excited her, but given the circumstances, she was too tense. I know it's too early to jump to conclusions, but she was like me. Yeah, I thought that. I had that thought already. Thank you, John. The words felt strange in her mouth, though. This random girl couldn't possibly be like her, not any more than the other girl in her hometown. Boom! She didn't know of another way to say it, though, and she trusted John would understand. So what the fuck is happening? Not like you, but the way she moved. You don't think that was natural, do you? No, she used more strength than a normal girl when she swung her bat, and she was almost as fast as me. In the movements they'd seen during the video, at least, which might not reflect her full speed, Lizzie again had the strong urge to eliminate the girl, despite the fact that she was already dead and couldn't possibly harm John. Well, okay, but why would she want to anyway? It's not like these little Koitek-made babies that are crazy are just gonna hone in on John. Miss Smythe said there's nothing sinister about it, just experiments gone wrong. But for this to happen here, too. Remember the meeting? Koitek prefers to rush through testing with multiple simultaneous experiments. Oh, good memory. I hadn't realized you were listening that closely. I thought you were imagining what I look like without my shirt on. Lizzie smiled at him, a little of the tension draining from her. Yes, she was still here beside John. There was no threat. She needed to quiet her instincts. That didn't mean that they were safe, though. There could be much broader threats due to the changes that would happen. She was certain they knew much of the information that would come out of the incident, but after that, it looked like John's thoughts had gone in a similar direction, judging from his frown. Do you think this will be the end for Koitek? Will this be what they need to bring reform? I don't think this will change anything. She was surprised by John's bleak tone, but when she looked over to him, she saw that his eyes were calm. Though sometimes he became too depressed and saw the world as darker than it really was, at other times his vision seemed clearer than many others. We know what really happened, but will the public make the connection? It looks like Koitek is already on top of things. They might even use this as an argument for why their drugs are needed more, to stop murders like this. Money talks. Oh, you may be right, but you saw that image where she looked at the camera? That's going to be all over the news, I guarantee it. She'll become the new face of any social problem. Peanut butter! Social problem people want to blame on younger generations. Maybe things will take a positive turn from there, but I doubt it. Oh, John, I hope it doesn't go that way, but I'm inclined to believe you. They leaned against each other for a while, John touching his face to her hair and breathing in slowly. They sat there together for a while, watching as the news continued. Meaningful information was coming slower now, but that didn't stop the broadcast from trying to stretch things. And since new information did come out occasionally, she felt like she needed to keep watching. Though it shouldn't have gotten to her, Lizzie found herself more and more anxious as they continued. What would Koitek do if they felt threatened? Could this be part of a much larger scheme? Even if not, what would happen to them? The incident with her and John had been suppressed and gotten nobody attention, but this was such a public event. Horror slowly crept up within her mind as she imagined an army of Miss Smythe swarming schools around the country, giving out more medication to prevent another such incident. Parents would probably welcome it. She understood human psychology that much. Someone like her might have been targeted. Worse, someone like John would have even less chance. Lizzie gently realized that she was chewing on one of her fingers hard enough to draw blood, only when John gently pulled it from her mouth. Just gonna take that, please? It'll be okay, Lizzie. Whatever happens, we'll get through this together. She nodded and then hugged him tightly, taking refuge in his embrace. He was right, of course, but only if they devoted their full attention to analyzing the potential risk. They stayed together for a while longer, but it seemed like the broadcast even less new information now. Despite all the emotion, Lizzie found herself strangely blank. She wasn't sure if she wanted to forget this had happened or take precautions. Unfortunately, it seemed that John was similarly uncertain. glancing to her just then. So what do you want to do now? That is a great question, and we'll answer it next time, because it's time to stop. So, thank you guys for coming back to One Room Over Gaming. Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. It's definitely picking up now. Between the last episode and this episode, some shit is starting to go down, and this is... Oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for the wild ride that was Crimson Gray. I knew it was in there. It had to be in there. But anyway, thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for watching. And until next time, you guys know where I'll be. I'll be right here, One Room Over, playing games for you guys. And I'm out of here. So, you know, have a good day. If it's daytime, have a good night if it's nighttime. And until next time, you know, take care of yourselves. And I'll see you soon. All right. Bye, everyone.